Okay. Hello, everyone. How many people do we have? Let's see. No one. Cool. Well, welcome. My name is Matt and I have 2 degrees. Oh, we have 2 people. We have 2 people. That's fantastic. Welcome to the first live stream of our latest Teacup for One Movie Club movie marathon. It's April. We're here. It is the long-awaited Peter Pan movie marathon. I've been waiting for this one for a while. I'm so excited. So over the next 4 weeks, we are going to be diving in and discussing 4 different adaptations of James Matthew Barrie's classic story, Peter Pan. I am so thrilled. So today, we are kicking things off with one of my personal favorite adaptations of Peter Pan. It is the Broadway musical. Specifically, we're looking at the DVD recording from 99-2000 with Cathy Rigby, but we could just talk about the musical because I think it's one of the best, well, not one of the best musicals out there, but definitely one of the best adaptations of Peter Pan. And I do think as a musical, it's very strong, but we'll get there. We'll get there. I'm so thrilled to bring in our special guests for this evening. You know them. You love them. Who's going to be first? Let's bring in Lauren. Look, it's Lauren, everyone.
Hello. How are you?
Welcome to Peter Pan Month. I'm great. How are you?
I know. I'm so excited for Peter Pan Month.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you here. I'm glad to have you. You're doing all 4, yes?
I'm doing all 4.
Woo, amazing.
Yeah.
So, Lauren, for our lovely people watching, if they don't know you, you know the drill. Tell us who you are. What do you do? Who is Lauren?
Well, I co-run a YouTube channel with my cousin Rich called Castles, Capes, and Clones. We discuss everything in the Disney universe. We do everything from unboxings to movie reviews, reactions, and we have different things. Like on Monday, I have just another Magic Man Monday, where generally, I'm opening up pins that I've either traded or purchased. Fridays is from 0 to 60, where we talk about the films from Walt Disney Animation Studios, and I just recently did Peter Pan.
What good timing!
Yeah, great timing, and so I'm all ready to talk about Peter Pan all this month.
Amazing! So happy to have you. All right. Oh, and we've got Bob Hunt in the chat. Hello, Bob. Thanks for joining us. Also, other friends, if you're in the chat, if you're watching, let us know. Martha's here. We've got all of our regular friends. Love them all. Fantastic. All right. And our other guest for this evening, again, you know her, you love her. Teacup for One mainstay. It's Tinker J, a.k.a. Janette. Welcome, Janette. Coming to us live from the Darling Family Nursery.
Yeah.
Just waiting to fly off.
Oh, aren't we all? Aren't we all? Janette, tell us about you. Who's Janette? What's Janette do?
So I'm Janette, TinkerJ787 on Instagram. So over there, it's a lot of Disney coverage, a lot of Disney World coverage. I also do a Marvel Monday post. So that's about all of the, hey, Bobby, about all of the lovely ladies of Marvel, old and new. So I write a post about that every Monday. And anytime that I go down to the parks, because we have an annual pass, you'll see coverage there. So I have some trip reports over there. And I'm here with you, and I'm on We Like Theme Parks, and I'm on Clash of the Magic. So yeah, you can find me a lot of places.
Oh, I love finding you on all those places. It's so good. Who won the We Like Theme Parks March Madness? Oh, actually, no, don't tell me.
Don't tell you? Okay, I won't tell you.
Okay, what was it? Was it the dinosaur coaster? Just tell.
It's not.
Okay,
you won't be disappointed.
That's all I cared about. I would have been so angry if it was the Velocity coaster.
It got heated. It got heated. Don't worry.
Did it? Okay, good.
I made a strong case for the Velocity coaster. So
I almost messaged Chris Bond to say, listen, if you want someone who is with you on no coasters winning this, bring me on the show. Then it was too late, and I was just sitting there listening, feeling powerless.
Yes.
So yes. Oh, what do we got here? Oh, hold on. Martha loves the nursery. Don't we all? Don't we all? Okay, here we go. So it's just the 3 of us tonight. I think because this is one of the lesser popular Peter Pan adaptations, but I'm so excited to hear what everyone thought about it. So first, just classic go around. I want to hear everyone's first encounters with either the musical itself, because of course this is the same material for the most part that was the basis of the Mary Martin TV broadcast from I think 1960, which is one of the like most famous Peter Pan things ever, let alone like pieces of television history. Like it's so important. And if I liked it more, I probably would have picked it, but I prefer this one. So yeah, like let's just hear your first thoughts on how you first came to discover this material, whether it was Mary Martin or Cathy Rigby. Like for me, I was a Mary Martin kid. I watched it on VHS a lot growing up. My mom says that I first discovered it at my grandmother's house on TV, and it was past my bedtime, but they were like, just let him watch because he seemed so engaged by it. And apparently I was. And then when the Rigby one came out, I was a bit older, probably like 12 or 13. And I just watched it because I liked watching film stage adaptations, and I was just so taken by seeing like this material that I knew, but reimagined in such an amazing way, and I love it so much. But yeah, Lauren, how about you?
Well, I knew the Mary Martin version from I saw it when I was younger, and to tell you the truth, I'm not a fan of the Mary Martin version. I think it was because I watched that and I watched the Walt Disney version, and it was too hard for me to reconcile that there were two versions in my head, and Walt Disney wins. So then I did not see the Cathy Rigby version. I did not even know there was a Cathy Rigby version.
Like until we did this?
Until we did this. And I know. And then I watched that one on NBC that they did live, and I hated it. And so when you said that we were going to do Cathy Rigby in an adaptation of the musical of Peter Pan, I was like, Cathy Rigby the gymnast? First of all, that was my first thing. And then I thought maybe you're doing it just to be ironic, or like, you're just trying to be funny. And
if I was trying to be ironic, we would have watched the NBC one, the Allison Williams one.
Yeah. And then we could be funny. But I have to say, I actually really enjoyed this version. I was waiting for myself to start getting irritated, but I didn't the entire time.
Amazing. And we'll discuss specifics in a bit. And okay. Janette, how about you?
So my first exposure to Peter Pan in general was, of course, the Disney movie. I think for most people my age, that's the case. I have never read the book. I would like to. It's one of those things that's kind of always been in the back of my mind, but I never have. And I feel like had I would have a better appreciation for the musical adaptation, because I don't tend to like these very much. And I do remember a period of time when I was a kid where the Mary Martin one was okay. Like I liked it and I had seen it a couple of times, but it was not something that I was seeking out. And much like Lauren, he put it in the best words possible. I could not reconcile these two versions in my head.
Exactly.
Yeah, like it was kind of like whenever you see those really bad like storybook animated things, like you buy them at the store and you think it's the Disney version, and then you put it in and you're like, oh no, what is this? And it's very much not. And you're like, oh, I don't know if I can. It kind of makes your brain tweak out a little bit. You're like, I don't know, what is this? Like when I hear the music in the musical adaptation, like this one and the Mary Martin one, it's the songs don't like I'm expecting to hear one song out of Pirates, and then there's this song, and I'm like, that's not right. So it's jarring for me. It is fun after I get into it, and the Pirates do tend to be my favorite part.
Nice. I've actually become the opposite, where when I watch the Disney one, they're singing the wrong songs and it annoys me.
Oh.
I know. That's just how much this one has like evaded my Peter Pan like headcanon as being the one. Like this is the Peter Pan for me. Yeah. Oh, question. Does anyone else hear weird sounds? I think we're having feedback issues from one.
Yeah, I hear something.
I'm not hearing it.
No? Lauren, do you have like a TV on, or like a gust of wind periodically coming in that sounds like the haunting cry of a ghost?
Or a siren.
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
No.
It's gone now. Okay, cool. Just checking. To make sure that I wasn't hearing mermaids or something. Thrilling. All right. So yeah, like this one. I mean, just thinking back to the Mary Martin one for a minute, I think because I grew up with that, like in tandem with the Disney one, like I had no problem not reconciling them because I personally found it really exciting that there was more than one way to watch Peter Pan. And I found that really exciting. And nostalgically, I enjoyed it, but I just always thought, like, how come Peter Pan is a woman? That was always kind of confusing to me. And then like not realizing that there's a whole history of it. Oh, I hear the mermaid.
I do too. I hear it again.
Yes.
And
Anything?
there it goes.
I'm trying to
It
think.
really is. It's
Maybe
it's
because I got my
thematic.
headphone on. Maybe
Okay.
My daughter said the same thing. So I guess I just never brought that up to her, and she'd never seen a picture. I put it on, and she goes, "Is that a lady?" And I go, "Well, yeah, it's a lady. That's like a historical thing. Like a woman played Peter Pan." She goes, "But they don't anymore." And I go, "Well, I don't know when that stopped, really, but I don't know. I think they still
kind of do.
on
Well,
stage."
especially for this musical, it's written for a
Yeah.
female voice.
I thought.
Yeah, like I don't
Yeah.
think a male, like maybe a tenor could possibly pull it off, but I think it originally goes back to like just physicality for the flying harnesses. It was easier to rig it up to a woman because I guess like lighter, smaller frame, etc., etc. Plus also kind of having a youthful look while still being an old enough actor to memorize the material and do everything. I think there were just a
Yeah.
lot of reasons.
that's what I wondered.
Yeah, but oh, Nina's here. Ah,
Oh, Nina!
Oh,
we love Nina. Oh, I don't know if Janette knows Nina. Nina,
I have
Janette.
not met Nina.
Yeah, you're both delightful. You would love each other. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what was just so cool to me, there were so many amazing things, like I said, for me when I saw the Cathy Rigby one, because I knew the material so well, I knew the music so well, and it was just like I was seeing it brought to life to its full potential, because I just kind of accepted, okay, Mary Martin is this like tall, graceful woman who is just saying she's a boy and we have to accept it. Sure, it is what it is. Looking back, I think she's extremely miscast. Like, respect to Mary Martin. I'm sure you were great as Maria Von Trapp on Broadway, but like Peter Pan, it's not it. But yeah. Oh, yes. And Aubrey's here. Woo. The thing that was just really exciting to me though with Cathy Rigby was like, it felt for the first time like watching, in my opinion, an actual adolescent boy. Like just her mannerisms and her nuances, like her physicality, the way that she says things, the way that she moves, just to me feels like I'm actually watching a male child in like inhabiting the character in such a fascinating way. Like I love the entire first act in the nursery, the way that she is just like playing with absolutely everything and just so distracted the entire time, I think is fascinating. And it was also really refreshing, which I just realized a day or two ago when comparing this to Mary Martin. It was so refreshing seeing it with actual like British accents compared to the Mary Martin one, where they all have very like 1960s American TV accents. Like I can't stand Mary Martin's Wendy because she's just so 1960s and so American.
Yeah, a lot of that comes out that way.
Yes. But yeah, what are everyone's just first thoughts on Cathy Rigby as Peter and her performance?
I was actually very impressed. I was, again, my experience with Cathy Rigby was when I was a child, and she was an Olympic, star. And I remember all over the news about that, and everybody talked about her. And then, for the longest time, we didn't really talk about Cathy Rigby. And no offense to Cathy Rigby, but I just hadn't. She had kind of not been in my stratosphere, and I I just I was amazed. Not only did I think that her singing was like spot on, but like you said, I like the fact that she tumbled and whatever through. I said, that's why they have a gymnast, in this role, is because she's just like rolling around and doing cartwheels and whatever with that harness on, and yeah, I just thought that she was amazing. I was very impressed.
Yeah, like I think she just adds so much to the role just through what she's able to do physically. Like, I think she's widely accepted as the best on stage Peter because of her gymnastic ability and what she can do when she's not in the harness. Like I said, in that entire nursery scene when she's just doing handstands and rolling and like crawling around everything, but then it's just amplified when she is flying because she's able to do all those tumbles in the air, and like the way that she can just physically carry herself like while being suspended is amazing. Like, especially in the flying song, like right before the nursery goes away and just like black sky, how she just preps herself and is able to do like a triple spin while she's being like elevated. I'm like, Cathy, so good. But I think what really shocked me watching it, like I went into it knowing that she was a gymnast because I asked my mom who's Cathy Rigby, because I could tell she was probably famous because her name was like plastered almost as big as the title of the show on the DVD. And she said, oh, Olympian. And I thought, okay, they probably just cast her to do flying stuff. But like, I think she's an amazing actor. Like the emotional depth that she brings to it in so many scenes is just, it's at a level I don't think we see from any other Peters, but I'll get there. Janette, what do you think of the Cathy Rigby as Peter?
I think that the casting her for the flying tricks and also just for the animation of the character on the ground, I think like the shadow scene and everything, all the really exaggerated movements are better than like the Mary Martin one, if we're going to draw comparisons. I think that, again, like you said, the body structure reads better. And Mary Martin looks quite ladylike. I think she has a lady's figure. So I
also
think
just how she carries herself. She carries herself like a dancer.
Yeah. And so I do think this read better. I think one of my major things with the Peter Pan musical in general is just there's something that when something's being done specifically like it is on stage, because it is on stage, whatever, and it's being filmed, it takes a lot for it to read for me. Like I'm a pretty layman in that terms. Like it takes like Hamilton. I'm super mainstream. Like that's what's in my wheelhouse. So I will put this on me and not on the production itself. It's just me not reading things the way that they're supposed to be read. Like the person who's acting I liked the most in this was the dad / Captain Hook. Like he's my favorite in this whole thing. So like whatever that says about what I look for in acting on stage, that's it. So
fascinating. Oh, there's so much to discuss in that. I want to quickly go to the comments. There we go. Oh, I just got so excited that Aubrey was here. I didn't read what Aubrey said. I'm also glad others know it exists. Like it's one of my favorite. Again, I don't want to say it's one of my favorite musicals, but I guess it kind of is. It's so good. Nina says, I didn't realize how difficult it was for a woman to play Peter / a boy until I saw someone do it poorly. Yeah, I've seen not great productions of this musical. Although actually the Peter I saw was amazing, but everyone else, no. But even in a bad production, if people are flying, you have my love and my attention. Yes. This is something that I thought was a good segue out of what Janette just said. Who do we think is a better role, Peter or Hook? Peter's the lead, couldn't resist playing Hook. So Janette, do you think it's just, so what you said with Hook, do you think it has to do with how the role is written or that performer specifically?
I think both in this case. I do always tend to find Hook either as a more comical or as a more deep character, just depending on which version of this you're looking at. In the musical, I would say it's probably just the more comical side of things. But I do like that actor's just facial expressions and his voice changes. And like, I do like someone that's very animated with their voice. Like that sounds like they're in a booth trying to do this for animation. So that sells to me.
Yeah, like I think his acting is really good, and just his voice singing wise, I think is amazing.
Like, yes. That was another thing. Like and again, I like the Pirates songs. They're jauntier, so I'm going to like them in general more. So again, I'll put most of this on me, not on the production or the actors, because it's just the thing that I'm already biased to. So.
Oh yeah, and the pirate numbers are definitely standouts. Like I just like how they have this pirate culture where they ask Captain Hook what kind of song he feels like singing, and then they just go with it. It's like a tango. They're like, okay, break out the tango choreography.
They're very cheeky. They're very fourth wall breaking, like more so than anything else in it. I think it's pretty cool.
The Tarantella. And yeah, something I appreciated more on this watch was actually, well, the choreography overall, but especially the pirate choreography in the Tarantella and the other numbers like it. It's so simple, but it's so crisp. And the movement is just, oh, it's so good. But Lauren, what are your thoughts on Hook versus Pan? What role do you find the most engaging, either in general? Well, I guess both in general and also in this production.
Yeah, I mean, because I read Nina's comment earlier, and I was trying to think of it in my head because I think the dream would be to be Peter Pan, just because I would love to be able to like be in a harness and fly and do all that. But I think in terms of acting wise, it would be more fun to play Hook, just because you get to play two different roles for one. But also, I just think there's something very comical. And I thought that I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know the names of the other actors, but he was great. I thought that in my last watching of Peter Pan the musical was Christopher Walken as, as Hook. So actually, he was not terrible, but he was
I think
not
that's true of anything
good.
Christopher Walken touches.
Yeah, that's true. Not
Never
just terrible.
He's not.
Terrible.
He's not terrible. I mean, like he's kind of humorous in his own way, but it wasn't like it didn't make me change my opinion of Peter Pan the musical at that time.
Mhm.
So
No, and I think what was interesting with Walken as Hook, which I don't know, I didn't love it. And I think this might be me being very petty, but I really didn't like that he didn't do double duty as Mr. Darling and Hook. And instead, they had Christian Borle, who was playing Smee, also play Mr. Darling. Like, I think there's just something really fascinating and beautiful about that double casting that I can't even articulate why it's important, but I just feel like it's important that the dad becomes the villain. And I would almost rather that there was no double casting. They just had a random guy playing the dad than having it doubled up with Smee, because that to me offers nothing that's fascinating or interesting. But no, since we've kind of touched on it, like, what do we just think about that trope of having the same person playing both roles? Because it's such a traditional thing when it comes to Peter Pan on stage. That is usually mirrored as well in movies. Like the guy who voices him in the Disney cartoon is both Mr. Darling as well as Hook. And then what's his face? Jason Isaac, who we'll talk about in 2 weeks. He also pulls it off. And yeah, like it's one of those, it's almost like Wizard of Oz, pre-Wizard of Oz, which I find
was just
really
about to say that. Like, it does a similar thing. It serves a similar purpose of, we are supposed to question whether this is all real, whether it's make believe, whether it's a little bit of both, right? I think it's also supposed to stand in for, in Neverland, these things that are always trying to catch them, that are men doing manly things, right? Like, even though they're goofy, they're doing the mean, bad things. And that's what the dad's doing in the real world. So like, it's meant to serve that storytelling purpose. And I think it's efficient when it's done right. Like, I don't know that I understood that watching the animated one, but it's subconscious because it's just the voice. So like, you don't really have to know that you understand it, because it's working on you, whether you want it to or not. So, but in this one, I thought that they brought it to light well enough. They didn't try to disguise it. I don't, like, I like that. I like that about it.
Yeah. Lauren, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the same is that I think that I like the fact that the father and Hook are the same actor. Because the father represents, not being a child anymore, like being the adult, and Hook represents being the adult on the island, but yet has probably the more infantile behavior. And I thought that was interesting.
Absolutely. What do we have here from Nina? You lose the symbolism of the villain being the father. Oh yeah, when you don't do it, when you don't do the double casting right. Yeah. And that actually just reminds me actually why I opted to open with this over Finding Neverland. Because, oh yeah, I haven't released my video on Peter Pan yet, but I really don't like Finding Neverland. It actually
Oh,
makes me angry.
really?
It makes me so angry, Finding Neverland. Because
Really?
first of all, it's messy. Well, we're not talking about Finding Neverland, but we will for a second. I know that when you're doing things that are based on real people, there's going to be a little bit of creative license, but I think it negates the point if you completely ignore facts that make who they were. Like J.M. Barrie did not have the relationship with Sylvia Llewellyn Davis that they portray in the movie as him like being romantically in love with her. And it was kind of like, it's very Sunday in the Park with George almost, I feel, where they have they're portraying him as this artist who can't commit himself to his wife because he's so consumed by his work, and then he's distracted and inspired by another woman. It's like, okay, dramatically, I guess that's the easy route to go. Whereas in reality, it was way messier and more complicated because J.M. Barrie like just had so many issues he was working through, and no one knows what the nature of that relationship was between him and the kids and the family. And the way that it portrays Neverland as heaven, which it's not. It's a video coming very soon about that and my thoughts on that. Yeah, it's just like they were trying to capitalize on the popularity of Peter Pan by making a movie that went against what I think the point of Peter Pan is. And we'll discuss what I think the point of Peter Pan is. But yeah, the reason I actually opted for this was because Peter Pan originally is so rooted in theater, because it did start as a play. And I think there are so many things that have carried over into the film adaptations and like even the novelization that are rooted in the fact that this was originally created and conceived to be performed live. So stuff like having Hook doubled up with Mr. Darling, stuff like just physically having the flying happen in front of you, Tinkerbell being a light that they just communicate with. Like there's something really beautiful to that I think continues to translate even in modern productions like this, that I think is just so engaging. And I feel like in a lot of ways it works best on stage because of that. Like I think the flying in the animated Disney one is amazing in a way that can't be done in any other way. But like live action flying, I'm never really that engaged by. Like I think seeing actual people on wires is so much more exciting to me. And even just like having Tinkerbell as the little light is fascinating. Yeah, but like what are your thoughts just on seeing it on stage? Like how do you think it serves the story? Do you prefer seeing it in another form? Lauren, let's start with you.
Are you talking about Peter Pan in general or the
musical? In general.
I don't know. It's hard because I just, the Walt Disney Peter Pan just has a special place in my heart, even with all the racism. I still love it. But I don't know. I mean, I guess this version taught me new ways to watch Peter Pan, because again, remember, I didn't like the Mary Martin version, nor did I like the NBC version. So, and I love musicals, but I just couldn't make that, I couldn't reconcile it. So now I'm at a point where I can reconcile these things. I did really enjoy this version, seeing everybody on, I think that they moved it along very well, and all the transitions were very nice. And I thought that the way that they adapted the story was very nice. It was different from what I remember it being. So I don't know. I could take either way, to tell you the truth. I mean, I guess maybe there has to either be animation or Broadway musical to me then, because I haven't liked any of the movie version. Well, Hook, I like Hook, but for an entirely different way. That Hook was not really a direct adaptation of Peter Pan.
Oh no, I fully agree. Yeah, no, I think there's something about this story that requires a suspension of disbelief that you get more with animation and that you get more with like live theater, that when it's translated into full out live action, like the one we'll talk about in 2 weeks. Just something is kind of lost, I think. I'm not sure. But Janette, what are your thoughts? Like, how do you feel about this working in a theatrical context versus a filmic context?
So my preferred method is animated, but then again, there's only one that's done that successfully. So is that really true? I don't know. Like I would argue that that's the only one that I would like. So as far as live action going between stage or what I would presume we're talking about, either like TV, cinema-esque style things or movies, I do prefer, what I prefer is a spin on the story. So I don't like a movie that is a direct retelling. Hook is my favorite like version outside of the animated version. Hook is my favorite version. And when I rewatched the stage production, I did realize how much of the story and the little elements from the stage production they do put in Hook that are not present in the animated one.
Ooh, like what?
Like the whole thimble thing, like that's not in the animated one at all. Like that they don't even do that in there. Or the buttons, they talk about Toodles in the stage production. And so that's all in Hook. And I was like, oh yeah, those are all little touches that like, and I presume they're in the book too. Again, I have never gotten around to reading the book. So, but I like those bits in there, but I like an adaptation. So like I mentioned off air to you, I like the Once Upon a Time version.
Yes.
Like even in high school when we had to do like creative writing, I wrote a really weird dark version of Peter Pan. And my composition teacher fell in love with it. And so like it's a little adult, but it was like, Peter Pan is he's a drug dealing pimp, and he recruits these kids to be like dealers, and Wendy is one of his girls, and Tink is like a brothel runner, and she keeps feeding them drugs, and like it's this whole thing, right? So like that was my weird twisted dark version, but I love twists on Peter Pan. I love that. This, I think, and I do have a little bit of a dark heart when it comes to themes and plots and things. I think the stage production is just so innocent that I don't get as into it. It is very innocent, very, very childlike, and it should be. It's Peter Pan. So again, my own personal things.
I also have to add, I did like the big thing that I like in the musical version that I don't get in the animated version is the whole audience participation when we have to believe that Tinkerbell is real. I mean Tinkerbell, fairies are real. Yeah. So that I've always enjoyed. I just think that that's such a kind of sweet, fun moment that I wish that was in the Disney version, but it's not.
It's so powerful. Like even just before this, I had the Mary Martin one on in the background while I was like having dinner, and then it got to the part where Tinkerbell was dying, and then she just looked at me and she was like, "Tink's dying. Please clap if you believe." And then I was just like, "It's not going to happen." Then she asked me again. I was like, then I was just there alone in my apartment, like. And then she came back to life. It was so magical.
Yes,
anyway,
amazing.
Nina, that's the finale. Don't you worry. We're going to talk about Hook. We'll probably go for like 3 hours, just like the movie. Once Upon a Time was epic. Aubrey says, the theme of not wanting to grow up and trying to desperately hold on to the magic of childhood is I agree. Well, and I think that's like, I've grown to love and appreciate Peter Pan so much more as an adult, the more familiar I've gotten with the original material. Like, I think another reason I love this adaptation is because it uses so much of the original text that J.M. Barrie wrote when it was a play. Because it started as a play, then he adapted it into a novel because the play was so popular. But J.M. Barrie, like I said, he was so like complicated that he layers in so much like very dark and depressing subtext that I just find fascinating. And like counter to what Janette said, I think a lot of it does bleed through in this adaptation. I do think there is a level of darkness underplaying the innocence, which is why I love this one so much. And there's just so much that he wrote into it in terms of the plot setup, but even just specific lines that I think are beautiful. Actually, the play doesn't have one of my favorite lines. It's from the book where he says, how does it go? One of the very first lines in the book is, "You always know when you are two, because two is the beginning of the end." And
Oh.
it's about how when Wendy is 2, she realizes that she's going to die one day, and that she has to grow up. And then that's like the moment that she starts slowly losing childlike innocence. And it's just setting up that this is like a coming of age story about a girl who like is on the precipice of becoming an adult, and then she's given the opportunity to stay young forever, and then she makes the choice not to, which I think is fascinating. And I think one of the things I love about this specific production with this cast is, and actually I think this is one of the benefits to the musical, is being able to have adults inhabit the roles of the kids, because I think they can add a deeper understanding to certain things, like the scene where Wendy is taking all the family to go back to England, and then Peter decides that he's going to stay, and just like the tension and the tragedy in that relationship where he's saying he's not going to go, and he's like, I don't understand what you want from me. It's the same thing Tinkerbell wants, and she's like, I can't tell you, you have to understand what it is. And it's just that almost miscommunication between the two of them, where she's so clearly in love with him, and you can tell that he's kind of in love with her as well.
Another thing that Hook does really well.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll get there.
It's so
like
just thematically and the way that it's written, I think that is such a beautiful thing about Peter Pan, is having that conflict between those two characters. And I think it's established really well in the writing, but also just in the performances in this specific production, which I just adore. So that's it. Let's talk about Wendy as a character, but also like the girl who plays her in this with the very squeaky voice. How do we like squeaky voice Wendy? Like for me, she's been an acquired taste. The first time I saw it, I was taken aback. I was like, do I have to listen to this for 2 hours? And then I kind of got used to it, and now I love it because I think like she grounds her voice in a place that works for me, because it does have the young quality to it, but again, I think her work as an actor is just so good that she's able to pull it off. And it's so satisfying to see her play grown-up Wendy at the end, to like ground it in what I'm assuming is closer to her natural tone and her natural pitch. And just that shift was really powerful. And yeah, like I said, I think there's just an emotional understanding that she brings to Wendy that I have never seen from any other Wendy's. Maybe Maggie Smith, but we'll get there. But yeah, like how do we feel about Wendy as a character as well as this specific actor? Whoever wants to go first.
Maggie Smith played Wendy.
Oh, Hook. Maggie Smith is Wendy in Hook. We'll get there.
Oh, right. Okay.
So Wendy in this one, I thought the same thing. Her voice was a little squeaky, but that I like that, because anytime there's an adult playing a child, I need them to like really try to sell it to me. So
when I love when Hook made fun of her at the end, she's like, "Are they to die?" Oh, they are. I think just that little acknowledgement of
one of the reasons I love that
is.
guy in there. I was like, oh, this is great. Because his character kind of pokes fun at like any of the eccentricities throughout the thing, I feel. But yeah, I liked that she did that with her voice. And out of all of the children, I probably liked her the most, including the Lost Boys. So yeah, again, like when there's adults playing children, it does get really weird for me, but I thought she sold it really well.
Nice. Lauren, what about you?
Yeah, I thought she was fucking. I mean, I didn't have a problem with her at the beginning. I thought that she did a nice job. I didn't think she was incredible, but I didn't think that she was bad. I thought she was great.
Nice. And who else have we not talked about that's in this production?
The Lost Boy.
Oh yeah, how do we like them? Lauren, you start.
I liked them. I thought that they were a lot of fun. I again, in other productions, I found them irritating, and in this one, I thought that they were a lot of fun. I liked the guy who played Cubby the best, but I thought that they were all a lot of fun. Like when they shot down the Wendy bird and that whole conversation, I thought that was a lot of fun. And yeah, it's just I always have a soft spot for the Lost Boys in my heart too.
I also just like how it's a mix of male and female performers. Like even though they are all playing guys, I just think there's a really nice dynamic to it. And it adds a really cool like element of androgyny that is really pertinent just in Peter Pan overall, like with Peter's character. and just carries through. And they just, yeah, I think it's so perfectly cast. And I love the twins, just the clean, crisp timing between the two of them, even though they probably look the least alike of anyone in the entire production. Like just their energy, the way they match each other just feels so twin-like, and I love it. Yeah. Janette, how do you like the Lost Boys in this one?
So I'll kind of group the Lost Boys and like the backup pirates all together. I thought that everybody did a great job. I don't know who the particular one was, but he had like an orange vest, and he had he had like he did the kind of high pitched thing with his voice too, and he was one of the Lost Boys with like some lines. You know, they all kind of did in this one, I felt. So I thought he was particularly good. I don't know why. He just seemed like he was really into it, but I don't know if that I find their characters irritating most of the time. I think a lot of the time I feel like even though they're a major part of the story, I'm like, so what are you doing again? Like, who are you? What are you doing here? So like they kind of fade for me a lot of the times. When they said Toodles, that got me excited because it had been a while since I watched the stage production. I was like, oh, I know that one. I know him. So, so I got really excited about that. I did love, and again, I'll go back to the pirates. I did think Smee was hilarious.
Yes.
I mean, he was a great Smee. He did a great job. He did what Smee is supposed to do and made me continue to laugh like throughout the whole show. So that was extremely effective. And I will always gravitate to Captain Hook and Smee.
Yeah.
Just love that he like hijacked his way back to England at the end with the Lost Boys. And then they adopt him too. Like chocolates. What? Chocolates? Yes, chocolates. So good.
Yeah. They're like painfully British in this one. Like,
oh yeah, and
really painful.
I'm here for it. I love the painfully British because it feels so much more natural. I think because like it's a British story that again going back to the Mary Martin one where they all have the 1960s American TV accents. No, not doing it for me. So there it is. Yeah, and so we kind of touched on the dark side of Peter Pan. I kind of want to expand on that. Like, Janette, tell us a little bit more about your creative writing project. And if not the specifics, or tell us about the specifics, but then just also what it is about the story that you think lent itself to that. Because again, I do think that even though it is an innocent story, I think there is a lot of conscious darkness layered into it that makes it as good as it is.
I think like many of the stories that Disney picks, there's kind of the overwhelming element of parentlessness. I think there's the lack of a mother figure, the overbearingness of a father figure, even though they have a mother, obviously, but like there's a dog raising them and their sister's somehow their mother. Like you have a mom. I don't know why you need more moms, but there's lots of like, and then lots of ideas of, they're playing house together and those are their kids, but then like, how playing house runs out and real life comes back in and all of that. And I think one of the things that for me, Peter Pan, when I was a kid, I was like, so am I supposed to think that they went to Neverland or like this was a dream or like, I thought it was fun that I thought you were never clear on like if it really happened, did it not really happen? But then like in the stage production, they're like, oh yeah, this happened. She grew up and she still remembered it and prepped her daughter to go there and everything. Like, I mean, like, it's just family tradition now. So like I think that is, there's this whole, the influence of the parent is a thing, but also the question of, is this real? So when I did that creative writing, it was like, obviously the question of, is this real was supposed to be induced by whatever drugs they were being fed. And like, it was pixie dust, right? So I felt like that was a pretty strong metaphor. And like, just kind of being wrapped up in a world, like the pirates played a role, they were a gang. And the mermaids were obviously like ladies of the evening. And like, there was all kinds of, and I was like, it all kind of fit in there. But again, and I've brought this up before and boohoo for beautiful women, but I do find that Peter Pan does a horrible trope too, on top of the somewhat obvious racist elements there. They also have all of the beautiful women are, well, at least the mermaids are dangerous, or they're vicious, or they're
Right.
homicidal, or, you know, and like Tinkerbell they refer to her as a her. And so like the women are all trying to like kill each other. And so I found like that
Yeah.
is kind of an interesting thing that tends to always happen in the story of Peter Pan. So that kind of, you know, all of those things to me are the darker elements, or things that can be twisted and be like, is it this way? Is it that way? So I do think it can be, that's why it leaves itself so open to having alternate versions of the story, I feel.
I never realized that, but you're so right about how all of the women are both beautiful and dangerous, which I
Yeah.
think
They're
just
like,
feeds so much into like almost the Freudian-esque elements about like this being a place that's presided over by a young boy who doesn't want to grow up. So
yeah. And the only
yeah.
woman who has not like reached womanhood and is not a beautiful woman is the mother. She is the kind, sweet, innocent one that is supposed to take care of them.
Mhm.
So
That's fascinating. Oh, I should do a video about that. Well,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Sure.
But no, like kind of the reason I asked, like you mentioned about how, did you say Peter Pan was a drug dealer in yours?
yeah, so he's a drug dealer, and he's kind of runs the whole thing. He's like a drug dealer and a pimp, right? So he's just picking wayward youths up and kind of integrating them into this whole like underbelly world.
That's fascinating.
And you wrote this in high school?
Senior year.
Well done.
Wow. Wow.
Did you like put it on Tumblr and
No,
on
I don't even.
Internet?
I'm sure that was a thing, but I don't know that I was utilizing.
Okay. Fair enough. But no, like what makes me think of that? I think you've told me that because I just had it in the back of my mind while I was watching this. And again, going back to how I think this musical does a really good job of layering in the more mature, darker subtext. That song that Peter sings to Wendy about Neverland to me almost felt like a seduction, or almost like someone who's trying to sway somebody off the path of righteousness. And it's a song that I'd heard before a bunch with the Mary Martin one. But I just think, again, going back to how good I think like Cathy Rigby is as an actor, alongside with how well directed it is, like the entire thing is just her essentially selling Wendy on the idea of this magical place where she'll never have to grow up. And it just like, the music landed for me in a way that never had before. The way she says, once you found your way there, you'll never grow old. Like, because we all go into Peter Pan knowing that like that's the thing, but to watch it in a context where that piece of information is being dropped for the first time to somebody and realizing, oh, like that's the sales pitch. Like you're trying to lure her away by saying, if you come with me, you'll never grow old. And it just almost begs the question, which I think is the ongoing thing with Peter as a character. Like, how aware is Peter of what he's doing? Is he malicious, or is he innocent in getting all the kids to come with him to Neverland? And again, that is going to be a video, but let's talk about that right now. Like, where does everyone land on that when it comes to Peter? Do we feel like he is written to be someone who is innocent and just wants to have fun forever? Or do you think he's more aware of what he's doing in getting people to come and like live with him and join his band of lost children?
I mean, I've always taken it as he just doesn't want to grow up. You know, there's much more of an innocence to him. Although, if I look at the Disney version, the way that Bobby Driscoll plays it, it's kind of a little all-knowing at the same time. So, I don't know. I guess it could be played either way, but in my head, it's always been an innocence.
Yeah, and I think it's something that's trended more recently, especially with Once Upon a Time, just to have evil Peter as a thing. And like the whole arc, well, spoilers, but spoiler warning there. Like the whole arc in Once Upon a Time is that he lived a full life as a grown man, then like reverted to being a child, I think by choice, which just kind of feeds into a long-standing fan theory that like that is the thing where like he's been around for so long that even though he is still a kid at heart, he still has like a weird older mentality. And it's like a thing that I've seen on Tumblr, not Tumblr, I keep going back to Tumblr, on Facebook a lot, where there's this ongoing fan theory that like he kills the kids and Neverland is heaven, which again, I don't buy into that. But I think it's just such a fascinating argument about like where do his motivations lie? Like, Janette, what do you think? I hear marble.
I know.
Sorry. Sorry. That's my phone.
Do,
That's a great ringtone.
do.
Sorry. That time it was me.
I think with Peter Pan, I've heard the pan, like I've kind of known not exactly who Pan or what a pan is or whatever, like, but I kind of knew that a little bit from like mythology and stuff whenever I was a kid.
Mhm.
And there are a few scenes in the animated one where he kind of gets this really mischievous, like, glint in his eye. One of
Mhm.
the scenes, they even like zoom in on him doing it. And like, I think for that reason, I always interpreted him as kind of chaotic, like mischievous and not good or bad, just an agent of chaos, if you will. And I think staying young forever is, I mean, that's chaotic. It's unnatural. You're not supposed to do that, right? And
Yeah.
so, like, you can take it as, yes, you should stay young at heart forever, but he's not just staying young at heart. And people who stay there aren't just staying young at heart. They're literally staying young forever. And when they leave, they do age. So, like, I think there's that very real difference. Whether he knows what he's doing could be problematic, I don't think so. But that's why I think he's an agent of chaos, not of evil, because it's not malicious. He's just mischievous, and they do make a point, especially in the musical. And I never really noticed this before, of pointing out that he is conceited, and he does
Oh, yeah.
not think about whether he's doing right or wrong. He thinks he's right, and to that end, he's going to just do what he wants. So I do think he is working. It's not selfish if you're not, you don't even think you're doing it for yourself. You just don't think. You just do. So, and I kind of feel like that's what Peter does. He
Yeah.
just does.
It's just that he is what he is, and he's him.
The
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons fan in me is begging to know if he's chaotic good or chaotic neutral.
He's chaotic neutral. Yeah, that's what I was literally going to use that terminology. I was like, how much of a freaking nerd am I going to sound like?
I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'll assume it's Dungeons and Dragons because that's what Lauren just said. Okay.
I do think he's chaotic neutral. Yes, I think
Yes,
he's true
I think so
chaotic
too.
neutral.
We have here from Aubrey. Peter's a child who selfishly desires to make sure he's never alone. His mischief is underpinned by a childish desire to stay with friends. Yeah, I think absolutely. Now, I do think that there's that kind of selfish, self-dependent, or not self-dependent, codependent quality to him that carries through in all of the adaptations. Yeah. Oh, I love it so much. Oh, but also to backtrack a little bit, because we were talking kind of about the musical, I want to know what was everyone's favorite song or favorite number and why? Like, I have so many because I love everything about this show. Like I said, the Neverland song, just the way that it's played in this, I think is really effective. Plus, I just think melodically it's really beautiful. The flying song is probably always going to be my favorite, and in my mind, that will always take the upper hand above the Disney You Can Fly, which hot take, I know, but I just think musically it's so exciting the way that it builds, and also realizing that like the intro to it when Peter is saying, what are the lines? When you're sleeping in your silly bed, you could be flying about with me saying funny things to the stars. That entire little like speech is lifted directly from the play. And that's just something like, that's the type of stuff that I find really exciting when you can just build on and expand something that's already pre-existing and amazing and then just embellish it to make it that much better. I find thrilling. Plus they all fly. It's so magical. And then when it builds and like the house goes away and then like they have the whole orchestra come in, it's so good. I love it. I love the flying song. I just love love it all, both musically and as a sequence. Lauren, what's your favorite song or sequence?
I don't know the names of the songs, but
I can tell you.
Flying Song is my favorite just because it's so exciting. And, the way that he sings it is so peppy and fun. And, I just think that it's a well choreographed number. And, that's the one that always sticks out in my head.
And like I said, I think it works in a theatrical context in such a magical way versus in a film, just because if you're watching it, like, as an audience member, they're going to start flying, and that's what you've been waiting for. And I think it's written so smartly because like the music just crescendos in such a way to accompany like this physical feat that you've been waiting for, and it just makes it that much more amazing. Like when you see Tinkerbell flying over Magic Kingdom in whatever fireworks show they have now, like it's coming, but then when it happens, it's so good. Tinkerbell, bringing it back. Janette, what was your favorite number? Was it the Pirates?
It's the Pirates. It's a tango, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tango,
There's a tango and a tarantella.
Ah, okay. Well, see, I'm not versed enough to know what that is, but I did notice a tango in there, and that was good. It was interesting. I watched the first half of this with my daughter, and when the Indians came out and the pirates came out, and I forget which of those two scenes happens first, but she goes, why are the Indians doing ballet? And I was like, well, that's what this scene is. They're going to do a ballet. And she goes, but that's not even Native American dancing. And I said, yes, honey, I know. It's not supposed to be. It's just a stage production. And she goes, that's not what it looks like. I go, okay, yeah, I get it. And then the pirates do the tango. And she goes, why are the pirates doing this dance? And I go, well, what was a pirate dance like? And she goes, I don't know. I was like, yeah, I get that it doesn't fit the thing. And like, to me, again, that's something I enjoy when you're just like, and now we're going to do a ballet, and now we're going to do a tango. And like, I like that when you change it up for everyone. And I kind of wish that was true of more of the musical. Like, I just wish it was more obvious and punctuated in the abrupt style changes, because I actually really like that. And I feel like it kind of catches my attention a little better than just what I tend to think of as a very musical song. So it's I like something a little bit different that stands out, but I do. And I like jaunty. If something is jaunty, I'm going to be on board with it. And pirate songs tend to be jaunty. So.
That they do.
Yeah.
That they do. And like I have mixed feelings about it because of how problematic the song itself is, but I really like the Uggawug dance sequence. Like the big dance sequence.
Probably the biggest difference from the Mary Martin one.
Oh yes.
I feel like it's very different.
Well, it's also like I think there was this tendency in the late 90s, early 2000s to just always put a stomp number in any musical, whether it was appropriate or not, which we got here. Like the drumming was so good when Cathy Rigby just goes for the drums.
That was one of my favorite parts, actually. Yeah. When she like wails on the drums. Yeah, that was definitely a highlight.
Yeah. And like, I think that's probably the biggest dance number in the entire show. And separating myself from how uncomfortable it made me for racist reasons, like the dancing was really good. Like it's a really good number, the way that
we're doing it in little beige outfits.
Oh gosh.
I like Bobby is asking if we draw a symmetry with Michael Jackson's obsession with the character. If you say the words Peter Pan to me, no. If you say the word Neverland to me, yes. I definitely, that does send off a ding, ding, ding in my mind about Michael Jackson. That's for sure.
I kind of forget about that connection until I guess it is a little bit more associated for me with Neverland, but the word ranch has to follow for me to really connect it.
I think then there's no question.
Yeah, then there's no question. Oh, Michael.
What a legacy.
Indeed.
I know.
Absolutely. Where are we going? Oh yeah. So I guess just to kind of take it back to Tiger Lily and Friends, because this is going to be a discussion that comes up probably in all the Peter Pan movies that we talk about. How did we feel about that, about the portrayal of her and her friends and her people? Because that's just an ongoing discussion that still is not really resolved when it comes to adapting Peter Pan, because it was very obviously written at a point in time where there was less understanding and more insensitivity towards other cultures and how they were being portrayed. And this was written by like a Irish white guy who I don't think had ever even been to North America and was just very much playing into stereotypes for the sake of stereotypes. And definitely, well, like Disney says at the beginning, wrong then and wrong now. But how do we
Yeah.
feel about how it's portrayed in this specific production? Because back when it first came out, I remember watching it thinking, oh, they fixed the racism from the Mary Martin one, where they had the very Caucasian Tiger Lily speaking in her broken English and saying uncomfortable things like "uggo wuggo wigwam." But then going back and watching this one, like now in 2022, I do think there's a lot of things that are still not great about this portrayal.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I was just thinking of how Disney got into trouble with this cheerleading squad
oh yeah,
that
Mhm.
was doing the kind of racist dances, and I was thinking, oh my god, it's the racist dances.
actually,
uh,
when Cathy Rigby came out in the headdress,
yeah,
when for a second I was like, she looks like one of the Karens that that are like defending the
yeah,
school, where they're
yeah,
like, I was an Indianette when I was 16, and it's our culture, it's not offensive. And then showing
right.
pictures, I'm like, this is so wrong. This is
I
so
know
wrong. That's what that
it
made me think of.
is.
Yes.
And I was trying to, I was thinking about it because I watched it last night, and I was like, how would they do the story without Native Americans in the story? Because they play such a big part of the whole thing. I mean, that's what what's his name? Uh, John is into the whole uh, cowboys and Indians thing,
Mhm.
and yeah, I mean, that's why I I'm curious to see how Disney is going to handle the Native Americans in their upcoming remake, because I do know that they did hire or cast in Native American and One Nation um, communities. So that's a step up, and I'm sure that none of them are going to say, "Let's relive what makes Red Man red." So,
Oh, I hope not.
or let's have these, you know, dances. I mean, the thing that I would think is that maybe they choose a specific tribe and try to be very authentic to dances from that tribe. But because there's no like all encompassing Native American dance.
Mhm.
Or
Yeah.
not that I
I
know of. I mean, I I can't pretend that I know everything about Native American
I
culture.
think whatever you do, if you're putting on a stage musical and there's
Mhm.
people in outfits that look like a Party City, uh, you know, outfit,
Yes.
and they're doing anything that involves their arms doing this or what,
Yeah.
it's not going to work
It's
now.
not great.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not okay. It probably wasn't okay then. I think that the thing that I usually and I've told you this before, Matt, like that I don't apply this to the Disney one because they do take it as far as actually writing a damn song about it. Okay. But other than that specific moment in time, I think what I tend to fall back on, and this is all rooted in stereotypes in general, but in the Peter Pan world, in Neverland, I think these are all supposed to be storybook interpretations of things. So these are not, I don't feel like it's supposed to be painfully accurate because it is there just as like what a child sees an icon or something. Granted, that icon at the time that this was made was rooted in stereotypes and racism. But when you're
Hmm.
going to just talk about, again, like if you're going to get into that, like in this one, they did kind of actually make the mermaid's hand look a little real because it was a kind of little spiny. But if you're going to get into that, can the mermaids not be beautiful, busty women? Do they have to be weird, like fish creatures? Like where do we just go? It's a storybook version of it. I'm totally cool with just taking that part out because, like Hook did, it's just not there. It's just not
Yeah.
in it. We don't need to address that. And if you can successfully do that, and I don't feel like I'm missing something, sure. Aside from, that, I do think that the pieces of dance in this musical production are beautiful. But again, like, it is a little uncomfortable to watch now. I do think specifically Tiger Lily, though, not in this one, but in the Disney one, I feel like she was actually handled rather well. All the other Native Americans and people, not so much. But Tiger Lily specifically handled well. Whereas I feel like Tiger Lily specifically in these might be the actual problem. I'm like, that might be where our problem lies, is with Tiger Lily.
Like one of the things that really stood out to me in this one that made me almost the most uncomfortable was just how much they were sexualizing all of them.
Like, I don't know what that the whole midriff outfit, like, was her navel serving a purpose in this production? I just don't think so.
No,
I just really don't think it was. That did distract me. I was like, the heck? None of these other people have their midriffs out. I don't understand why she needs to have hers out.
Like, I've been doing kind of a deep dive into this because it's a video I want to do, I think, for next week. But yeah, like, if you go onto Twitter, there's a hashtag that's been going around for a couple years since the NBC one in 2014, which is hashtag Not Your Tiger Lily, where it's a lot of people from the indigenous communities that are just calling out the tropes specific to Peter Pan, but also not in Peter Pan, just how indigenous cultures are portrayed in media, and how even when they try to make it better, they don't. And like, there was an entire post that pointed out why Tiger Lily in the animated Disney one is problematic, even though it's not as obvious, which kind of, like, I always thought, like, she's not as bad as the others, but just the fact that she doesn't talk the entire time. She's very passive. She is kind of an object of desire. She's objectified because there's that whole, during that problematic song, it's just Peter watching her dance and she doesn't do anything. She just, like, serves a purpose to be a physical body that's there for him, which this, like, very enlightening post I read pointed out that at a young age, it was teaching indigenous girls that they need to be silent, that they need to just give up any sense of self-authority when men are threatening them, and then they are just meant to be there as something to be looked at by people. I'm like, okay.
Well, she's her father's daughter and she's Peter Pan. And yet again, with Peter Pan's not good or bad necessarily, but, like, how many women are going to be in love with him, and is he going to be kind of goo over at one time and we're not going to question it? It's like, I don't know. I found that awkward as a kid. I was like, wait, I thought he liked Wendy. Who's the Tiger Lily chick? I don't get it. And now she's not there. And then and that's why I don't really have a problem with them taking out that vein in the story, because I feel like when you remove that character, you remove that one scene, it doesn't really alter the story too much.
And, like, I think there's potential for, but I think it would have to be reinterpreted by, like, an actual indigenous creator or storyteller for it to actually be valuable, because my instinct at this point now is to just get rid of them and make it work. Like, I think something that's embedded in the story is just the fact that whoever Tiger Lily's, like, group of people are, they're just someone that is in opposition to the Lost Boys, but then also in opposition to the pirates, and then they just become allies for Peter and friends to, like, get stronger when they fight the pirates. So, like, you could replace that with any group, really. Like, I saw a production where they were turned into cowboys, of all things, I guess, again, playing into that childhood trope of cowboys and Indians. And, like, Tiger Lily was the sheriff's daughter, and it still kind of worked, which was cool. There was a production, I'm giving away my video for next week. Oh, well, I don't care. Please watch it anyway. There was a production that was done here in Ontario at Stratford a couple years ago where they changed them into Amazons, and they were all Amazon women. And I remember thinking to myself, this feels equally problematic, but you're just appropriating a culture from a different continent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, is it just because they can't see this to complain? Like, I feel like we can do whatever the heck we want to pirates. There's no pirates around to complain about it. It's you
Right.
know,
I think it's also because
Uh,
pirates are, it's not a culture. Pirate
Yeah.
is like a
No.
way of life. Anyone can be a pirate. It's like informed by your actions. You choose to be a pirate and to pirate things,
yeah,
as opposed to taking a group that has faced a lot of atrocities, especially in North America over the last
Mhm.
couple of centuries, and then just salt in the wound, kind of making fun of their culture either directly or indirectly for the sake of fantasy. It's like
yeah.
it's tricky. Yeah.
Bobby says that this was nominated for costumes in the year 2000. So
Oh my.
obviously somebody liked the midriff. Somebody was fine with it.
Somebody went for it. Yeah. Oh my. Well, I think like the other costumes are great. Like I like
Yeah.
Peter's costume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
it's
Captain
think
Hook,
so.
regal. Yeah. Yeah, like Wendy's costume, simple but good. I also realized watching this that like Wendy's, all the kids' costumes, basically anyone who flies, their costume is so clearly built around a harness.
Yeah.
Like that's why Wendy's is so flowy, presumably.
Yeah.
Yes. Fun. But yeah, I'm curious to hear what people will have to say next week when we actually outright address the Disney one and
Yep.
see how that goes. Because it's Peter Pan is so tricky. Because I think the thing with Peter Pan is that it is so popular that it's never going to go away.
Right.
Because
No,
That's what I was saying is that, you know, uh, they're going to have to address the Native American issue somehow because it's not, they have made and remade the story over and over again, and it's never going to stop.
yeah. So hopefully they'll do better the next time around. I almost feel like the next Disney movie coming out is the last chance for any Peter Pan that wants to keep Tiger Lily and like enter friends in the
Yeah.
story. Like I think if it doesn't work, then there it is. Then you just figure out a way to move on. But we'll see in a little bit. Time will tell. Anyway, what was I going to say? Was there anything else we wanted to address about the musical or about Peter Pan before we move on to the game?
Game time.
Okay. Today's game is a little bit different. I'm not even sure if it'll work. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't even
either or is it a right is out?
It's kind of all and kind of none. So, yeah, you'll see. You don't even have to write anything down.
Oh, the 1 week I remembered to bring a marker and paper.
Actually, let me grab something to write with.
I actually remember.
Oh, did you? Oh,
yeah.
I'm so used to you using your phone.
Yeah.
Okay, I came up with the rules in my head, and I don't know if they make sense. So we'll find out together. So how this game works is you're like both of you are just starting with 10 points. And it's up to you to try to not lose as many points as possible. And they're not even points, they're fairies. You both have 10 fairies. And in this game, you have to keep as many of them alive as you possibly can. How do you keep the fairies alive? You have to clap. So what's going to happen is I'm going to give you a name. It could be a famous fictional fairy, or it could be a famous fictional character that's not a fairy. If it is a fairy, you need to clap to keep it alive.
Okay.
The first person to clap keeps their fairy alive. So only one of you gets a point per round.
Gosh,
Okay?
Right.
So
get ready.
if I say the name of a fairy and then Lauren starts to clap and Janette starts to clap a second later, one of Janette's fairies is dead.
Oh gosh.
Okay? Now, if it's a case where a name I say is not a fairy, and if neither of you clap, then you both maintain your points.
Okay.
If it's not a fairy but one of you claps, then one of your fairies dies.
Okay. It makes sense.
Let me just
my hands.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
5,
I know.
6.
I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Here we go. Okay. You start off nice and easy. Or maybe we won't. Who knows? So again, if it's a fairy, you clap. If it's not a fairy, you don't clap. First person to clap keeps their fairy alive. There it is. And feel free to play along at home as well. Here we go. Ooh. Oh, you're both so ready. No, I'm going to make this a rule. You have to start with your hands behind your back.
Oh gosh,
Oh.
come on.
Wait, or no, start with your hands. Start with your hands here behind your head. There we go. Here we go. Just make it more fun. Here we go. Okay. Tinkerbell. Okay. I saw Lauren first. Janette, one of your fairies is dead.
Aha!
Rigged.
Okay. Flora. I think that one was Janette. I didn't account for lag. So
Yeah, right.
We're going for whatever I see.
Oh, God.
Okay. Reset. You both have one dead fairy. Okay.
I feel like we're doing the Macarena.
Goliath.
I know.
You're correct. Goliath is not a fairy. Does anyone know what Goliath is?
He's in
He's
the
giant.
Bible, isn't he?
Oh, he's a gargoyle from Disney's Gargoyles.
Oh.
Oh, I thought it was
Oh,
David
and
and Goliath.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, that as well. Sure. Always, like a lot of these names actually will have some kind of crossover, but just always assume like the Disney or
Oh,
the most
okay.
Disney,
Okay.
or if not, they're not all Disney, or the most Disney adjacent. Okay. Bilbo. Yeah, he's a hobbit. Good job.
Yeah.
Okay. Maleficent. That's Lauren. Janette, one of
Yeah,
the
oh,
fairies
see,
is dead.
this is lag. Get the heck out of town.
It was close. It was close. Okay, back here. Titania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that from?
From Shakespeare.
Yeah, Midsummer
Oh.
Night's Dream.
From
That
yeah,
explains- That explains it.
Yes. Next. Gruffy.
Isn't that the little creature in Black Cauldron?
No, that's Gorgie.
No, that's good.
Oh, Gordy. Okay.
Are you both locking in your decision that Gruffy is not a fairy?
Not
Yeah.
a fairy.
You're correct. Gruffy's a gummy bear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Next. Oberon. Yes, Lauren. Well done. Jeanette, another fairy.
Same
dead.
Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was a Norwegian god. I don't know.
Yeah, Oberon is Titania's husband. Okay. Galadriel.
Oh my god, I know this name.
No.
Where do I know this name from? I don't think he's a fairy.
Yeah, I don't think he's a fairy either.
I know the name though.
Are we both
But he's
locking
not-
in that Galadriel's not a fairy?
Not a fairy.
Yes.
You're correct. It's
Where
Kate
is
he?
Blanchett, elf
Yeah.
in Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah.
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 She was played by Kate Blanchett.
Yes,
That's
she's
why I
the
know
one
it.
that's
I
I love
like,
Kate Blanchett.
yeah, she's like things that are, things that have been, things that one day will be, and then she's scooping the water or something, and yeah, that's what she does. Okay, our last fairy of the regular round, Silver Mist.
That was
That I know. She represents the Asians in fairydom.
yes, a water fairy.
I have no. I just decided to look up names of the Tinkerbell squad. I don't know who any of these fairies are. I mean, it was kind of tied, but just to even things out, I'll say, Lauren, one of your fairies is dead. Don't worry, you still have 8. Okay. So, Jeanette, you have 6 fairies that are still alive. Lauren, you have 8. How many of your fairies are you going to sacrifice for your bonus round?
Oh
Both
my
of you.
goodness. I guess I'm gonna say all of them.
Oh my God. Those poor fairies. Okay. Lauren, how many of your fairies would you like to sacrifice?
You know, I always risk all my
All of them?
fairies.
Okay. Here we go. Back we go. Same
Okay.
rules. I'm just trying to think. How does this work if... Okay, no, we'll figure it out as we go along. Queen Mab.
Is she from Tinkerbell too?
Lauren, where's Queen Mab from?
She's from Shakespeare as well, but I can't
Oh.
like. Is that? Is she from? I can't remember exactly which one she's from.
She's from... Well, she's not actually scene she's spoken of in Romeo and Juliet in Mercutio's speech, where he talks about Queen Mab. She's the fairy's midwife.
Yes.
And he has
yes.
this entire
You-
speech that in the Baz Luhrmann, Queen Mab is like ecstasy. But the entire speech is about how Queen Mab is going around and like putting people to sleep. And then it starts out really cute, then it gets really violent. And it's
That's
great.
the kind of spin we like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lauren, you have 16 fairies. Jeanette, yours.
Yay!
And I murdered all my
I
fairies.
rescued
No,
all
Jeanette,
my
yours
fairies.
narrowly escaped. You have 6. You still have 6.
Oh, okay.
You only killed 4.
I only killed 4.
Yes, you only killed 4 fairies. It was so different, but I that was fun for me to watch.
That was fun. That was fun. It was different, so it was fun.
Yeah, I was stuck for things. I was like, how do I make a game out of this musical? What do I do? I was like, gonna make them clap. Keep
Right.
the fairies alive. Done.
I thought you were going to ask us if it happened in the Mary Martin or the Cathy Rigby one.
I
I
considered
know. I
that.
would have been.
I considered it, but then I just thought, the less
I
we
would've
talk
This
about
was
the Mary
far
Martin
more
one, the
interesting,
better.
I will say that.
Yeah. I thought it was doing.
It's like, which one had the most annoying Peter Pan? And then no one would know because there's cases to be made for both of them. So there it is. Martha, you have 20 fairies. Good job.
Whoa!
Well done. I'm very impressed. Good job. Brilliant. All right. Well, any closing thoughts on Peter Pan, the Broadway musical with Cathy Rigby? How does everyone just feel about either this production or just Peter Pan in general? What's everyone looking most forward to over the course of Peter Pan month? Start with
I
Lauren.
am.
Or no, let's start with
Oh,
Janette.
sorry. I was going to say I'm so excited for Hook. Sorry. That's like
Oh,
my
we'll
big,
get there.
that's my big excitement.
Like I want to see if I change my mind on Hook because I don't dislike it, but from what I remember, it's just boring and long
Oh.
and like,
What?
it's just so long.
Is it?
It's
That's
like 3 hours.
Yes, but it's 3 very good
3
hours.
hours?
It's very long. My daughter, it was the only
It's
thing my daughter said negative about it.
Rufio
when she
in
watched
it.
That's true. I know everyone loves Rufio. Rufio is adored by all, by most.
He's one of the from the legendary Filipino American acting families. Hello.
Really?
Hello.
Yeah. the Broscos. Dante
Means-
Brosco.
Means
Hello.
nothing to me right now. I'll learn by Hook Week. So we just have to get through 2 more until we get to
Yeah.
Hook.
All I'll say is that
Yeah.
I'm glad that I'm part of this movie club stuff because you got me seeing things that I would never see on my own.
Oh, amazing.
And I have to say that like with Coda, even though that wasn't part of our thing,
It should have been.
tangentially.
Oscar movies are Oscar movies, man.
Yeah, Oscar movies are Oscar movies. And then this, I would never have watched it, but I'm glad that I did.
Like I said, it's my favorite version of Peter Pan. I'm going to be
Yeah.
significantly less excited for the next 3 weeks, but we'll get there when we get there. And yeah, the Disney one is just, aside from it being problematic, I don't think it's a good Peter Pan adaptation as a Peter Pan adaptation.
Shut your
I think the
That's
music
mouth.
might be better than the telling of the story, but we'll get there.
Yeah, like I think it just kind of like it's not as offensive as Finding Neverland in terms of destroying the point of Peter Pan in my mind, which again, my video is late, but that'll come out soon. I think it takes the Disney one embraces the most superficial things about the story of Peter Pan and ignores the things that make the story emotionally resonant in my mind. Like I think the Disney one. What?
Hans Conried, the voice of Hook in the Father.
Oh, right.
Mr. Darling.
Oh, and like he gives it a little bit of breadth, I suppose. But I just think the Disney one is more about like giving life to the childlike adventure without giving me an acute awareness that everyone is going to die one day. And I think that's the point of Peter Pan. But again, my video, it's late, but when you see it, you'll know. So there we go.
All right.
All right. Maybe I'll start editing it tonight because tonight didn't go for like 3 hours, which the last couple have. So there it is. Sure, the hook one will. Okay, friends. So you know the drill. I'm going to full screen you. Tell all the nice people watching again. Remind us who you are, where we can find you, and if you have anything extra exciting coming up that you would like the world to know about. Lauren.
All right. Well, like I said, we are Castlescapes and Clones on YouTube. We're also Castlescapes and Clones on Instagram. Make sure you check us out there. Follow us. Again, be sure to check out our From 0 to 60 series, which we do every Friday, where we talk about the films from Walt Disney Animation Studios. And I just filmed Sleeping Beauty, but the next one to come up is, I want to say that it's Lady in the Tramp. Is this Friday? Yeah, this Friday is Lady in the Tramp. So yeah, check us out then. And other than that, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Lauren. Janette, same thing.
Oh no, can you see me?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't see me.
What?
Yeah, that's weird. But anyway, I can tell you. So you can find me TinkerJ787 on Instagram. Over there, like I said before, we're annual pass holders, so you'll see lots of Disney stuff, Disney World trips and such. I have my Marvel Monday post every Monday about the ladies of Marvel. And currently, I'm going to be here for Peter Pan month. I just wrapped up March Madness the Ride over on We Like Theme Parks. So go over to FPE Network and check out that whole series because that was a lot of fun. And now I just started being on Clash of the Magic on Fridays.
Amazing. Check them all out. Thank you, Janette. All right, how do I do? There we go. All right, and it's me. And yes, if you're watching this video / this live stream, you've already found my channel. If you haven't subscribed, why not? Just click the button. Just do it. Then you'll see my video when it actually arrives, which should hopefully be maybe not tomorrow, maybe Friday. And then keep an eye out because on Saturday, I'm participating in a Disney Cat Lovers box swap. I don't do box swaps very often, but first of all, I couldn't say no to Valerie Singer because like Queen of Disney box swaps, but also Disney cats. So essentially Val got a bunch of Disney cat lovers together, people who have cats and love Disney, and curated boxes for each other where we gave each other things for like the human and the cat. So for the first time ever, my cat is going to make an appearance on the channel. Watch for that. She's adorable, but also kind of problematic. She's very much like Tinkerbell. Disney's Tinkerbell. You'll see. Anyway, until then, friends, thank you for watching. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees. This has been the first episode of Peter Pan Month, and that's the tea cup for one. How do I end this?